Now we are going to discuss the various data models available and what are the important ones and what is the most commonly used ones today that we are going to discuss. Data model in the sense, as I told you, in the physical layer and the logical level, you have a set of representations. How to represent data in the physical as well as in the logical structure. That is a data model. That means data means whatever is there, whatever, for example, if you have student information, then teacher information, all those things are data, and how that is physically related. For example, A is the father of B, B is the son of A, etc. etc. A number of relationships exist between data, and semantics and constraints are there. For example, a constraint account balance should be greater than zero. That is a constraint. Then, if you want to, if some person want to, age should be a positive value. Then roll number should be a positive integer value, etc. etc. A number of constraints are there if you are designing a data model. And the most important and widely used, 19 for 99% of applications, we are using relational data model. Relational data model, and our discussion after this will be focusing on relational data model. And entity relationship model means you cannot straight away write design relational data model. It is not possible. Before that, you should have an entity relationship model. That means suppose that you have a database, and like object oriented design, you have to find out the entities. Entities means, for example, college is an entity, a student is an entity, a teacher is an entity. Then and there is teacher students, and students play in the playground. So these are all. If you take a sentence, there are some nouns and there are some verbs. These nouns represent entities and the verbs represent relationship or some activities are there. Thus, that means if you take a complex enterprise, then you have to find out what are the entities there and what are the relationship exist between these entities. So that you have to find out, and once you have a good entity relationship model, then it is very easy to have design relation data model. Then next one is object-oriented data model. Object-oriented data model in the sense everything is treated as every entity is treated as an object, and in the object-oriented database model, it is also useful for very useful. And we are not focusing on object-oriented model. And semi-structured model is also there. For example, XML, it is very easy to transport data as far as XML is concerned, and the other models which we have used in the earlier days, that means older models, are hierarchical data model and network data model, and these are all data models, and we are focusing on these two, that means relational data model and entity relationship model. Why do we focus on entity relationship model? Once you have an entity relationship model, it is very easy to design relational data model. Okay. In a relational data model, data is stored in the form of tables. For example, this is a table. A table has a number of rows and columns. These are columns. For example, this is name, roll number, say sex, then some other value, say address, etc. That means here this is an example of a relational data model. In relational data model, everything is stored in the form of tables. That means if you want to store some information, then definitely there should be a table. That means here this is a schema which is having, suppose that this is a student table or student schema, and he may be having name, roll number, sex and address. So at this point in time, I am restricting only four different attributes. So here student is a schema and it has got how many different properties: name, roll number, sex and address. So these are called attributes of the student. That means here the table, or this is the relationship. This table and the relation here, this is the student relationship or student table, and student table has how many properties? That means name, roll number, sex and address. These are called attributes. These are called attributes of this table. That means how many attributes are there? Four attributes are there for student relationship or student table, and these are name, roll number, sex and address are the attributes of student relationship. So if you have a student name, now you are inserting that this is student number 1, this is student number 2, student number 3, 4, 5 and 6. Suppose that here 6 entries are there. Now there are 6 records in the table. There are 6 records on the table, or we call it as 6 tuples in the table. 6 tuples in the table. That means number of records. That means each row is called a tuple, and each column is called an attribute. Here this is an attribute. That means here 4 attributes are there. Those attributes are name, roll number, sex and address. And once you are entering the details of a particular student into the table, then automatically a row will be created, and that is called a tuple. Each row is called a tuple. How many tuples are there? How many rows are there in this table? 6 tuples are there. So each row is called a tuple and each column is called an attribute. Okay. And the number of tuples in this relation. For example, here tuple number 1, tuple number 2, etc. 6 tuples are there. And how many tuples are there? So the total number of tuples in the relation is called cardinality of the relation. Cardinality means number of tuples in the the relation. Okay, that is called cardinality. Okay, so that is all about relational database model. We will discuss relational database model in detail. Okay.